Hi guys, I'm Ivory and today I'm going to be doing a 2-day wear test on the Flower Beauty Light Illusions Luminous Makeup Nude Skin Feel Foundation. I'll be showing you how this applies initially, as well as checking in throughout the day to show you how it wears. For anyone that's new, I have oily and very textured skin. I've also in the past had very acne prone skin. Anyone that's been here for a while can probably tell that my skin has been doing a lot better. So my wear tests are catered towards people with a similar skin type. So if you find that this review is helpful, I will link up in the cards a playlist of all the other foundations and products I've done a wear test on. And just a little update for everybody, I did go to the dermatologist yesterday. She does take progress pictures and my skin, it's just night and day. I think I mentioned it in one of my get ready with me's. She prescribed me back trim because the first antibiotic she gave me, doxycycline, did absolutely nothing. But back trim made a huge difference. Within the first week, my skin was clearing up and I rarely get breakouts anymore. All of this redness right here, this is old existing acne. It is scarring. I'm also applying tretinoin most nights. I forget quite often. So I'm taking back trim. I was taking it every night, but we're trying to wean me off of it. So now I'm taking it every other night. And then soon, after a week or two, if I still am not getting breakouts, I'm going to be splitting the pills in half, actually. So we're slowly getting me off of it. I'm also applying tretinoin on my face at night, at least when I remember to do it. But the back trim especially has been very helpful for my skin. A lot of people here tell me that my skin is a lot like them. So I just want to share with you guys what has been working for me, which in this case is drugs. I've already cleansed and moisturized my skin. I use the Biosense and Squalene moisturizer. It has the SPF in it. I'm really enjoying that one, but I'm gonna go in with primer next. I'm gonna use the Rare Beauty Pore Diffusing Primer. I haven't used this in a while, but I remember liking this. So I'm just gonna add a little dollop, and I'm only applying this to half my face, starting with the center of it, and then with the remaining product, just working my way outwards. And I'm only applying it on half my face just to see if primer will make a difference with this foundation. And then to apply the foundation, I'm gonna be using a brush and a sponge on either side just to see how the foundation applies with two very common applicators. The brush that I'm using is the Sigma Round Kabuki, which is the F82, and then the sponge that I'm using is a microfiber sponge from Shop Missy. Both of the products I will link in my description box below. The foundation is supposed to provide a medium to buildable coverage to smooth and perfect while imparting your skin with the most flattering soft luminosity imaginable, all with a weightless nude skin feel. It has SPF 18, it is cruelty free. The product contains 1 fluid ounce and retails for $14. All right, so this is one layer of the foundation. In terms of coverage, I feel like both sides are pretty similar. I would say it's somewhere in between light medium and medium, just because I do still see some redness peeking through. But for me, I still prefer the sponge only because I used way less product. For the brush side on my plate, I used all 2 pumps for the brush side, whereas on the sponge side, I put 2 pumps, but there's a lot left. I probably only used 1 pump's worth to get the same amount of coverage. So the coverage may be similar, but you use less product if you use the sponge, at least a microfiber sponge. So just based on that, I would prefer using the sponge anyways. I'm gonna go ahead and add a second layer. I'm really gonna only add it to areas where I feel need a little bit more coverage. So on the brush side, right here on my cheeks, but my forehead is good, so I'm gonna leave that alone. And when I use a brush, I don't just swipe it. I add swipes, but then for certain areas where I want more coverage, I do this type of motion. I like stipple it on. And then for the sponge side, I really only have acne down here, so I'll just add a little bit of a thin layer here as well. All right, so this is what it looks like with, I don't know, does this really count as 2 layers? I'll just say 2 for simplicity. Definitely added a decent amount of coverage, so I would say that this is a medium coverage on me. It's also quite dewy. I see a lot of luminosity within this foundation, so they weren't lying when they said that this was luminous. Up close, it looks pretty good. I do see some areas, like right here from my old acne. It looks just a tiny bit drier. It's just sitting a little bit weird there. It's not super noticeable because, like I said, my skin is doing a lot better these days, but I do see that it's sitting a little bit different on this area that is a little bit drier versus the rest of my face. So definitely picked up a little bit on my dryness. Like I said, it's not too bad, but I do notice it. Everywhere else though, I would say looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward doing the rest of my makeup. All of the products that I'm using will be listed in my description box below. All right, so before I end this check-in, I do want to comment on my nose because when I applied setting powder to set my nose, it didn't handle it very well, I guess. You can see on the side of my nose, some areas are extra saturated and it looks patchy. I fixed it as much as I could, but I didn't want to spend too much time messing with my nose and making it worse, especially since I already had set it. But there are some areas where it's a little bit more sheer than I would like. I can see my skin peeking through, and there are certain areas where it's just splotchy. And from what I can see, it seems to only be happening on my nose. Everywhere else looks normal. So I'm a little bit worried, but we'll just have to wait and see. But that is it for now. I'm gonna be wearing this for 10 hours today, so I will come back around the halfway point in natural lighting and we'll see how it's looking by then. It is 6 hours in. Oil-wise, I feel like it doesn't look too bad. And as far as how it looks on the primer side versus no primer, it's hard to say. All of the issues that I'm having on one side, I'm having it on the other side as well. So it's pretty neck and neck. There are some areas where I feel like the foundation looks fine and totally normal. And then there are some areas where it looks really textured, a little bit cakey. So depending on what area I pick, it's kind of hit or miss. On my cheeks, I would say that it looks pretty much perfect. On my nose, for some reason, this foundation makes it look extra bumpy. Like I see lots of dots underneath the foundation. It's just really emphasizing the texture here. And it's happening also in my T-zone as well. So the center of my face is looking not too great. And you can also see on my upper lip that it's really starting to break up and look kind of splotchy. I would argue that this area is where it shows the most wear and tear. So for me, the foundation is not wearing as well as I would have liked. I'm gonna go ahead and touch up and try to get rid of some of the oils. I'm gonna use the Flower Beauty Jet Set Invisible Powder Spray. I did do a dedicated video on this and I really like using that. So I figured since I'm trying a flower foundation, it would be okay to use another Flower Beauty product in conjunction with it. But also I have used this before and I do like it. My biggest tip with this is to not linger in one area for too long. You just kind of really quickly mist all over the face. I also forgot to mention, if you use this product, it will whiten your eyelashes. So you're supposed to also cover your false lashes or even your eyes if you're wearing mascara, because it will lighten them with this white cast. So I forgot about that. So just learn from my mistakes. As you can see, I am nice and matte again. So I'm just gonna carry on about my day. I will see you at the 10-hour mark to give you my final thoughts on day one. Hi. Thank you. Hold on, I gotta adjust the camera, baby. We have reached 10 hours in and this foundation does not look good in this area. The whole center of my face just looks like dog shit. Before I even get to that though, let's just address quickly primer versus no primer. I definitely prefer the side without primer. So this is the primer side, and can you see right here? Hold on, I'm trying to angle this. But in this region, the foundation is really rubbed off, whereas on this side, it still has rubbed off, but it's not happening as much. It's holding on together better on this side. On my upper lip too, I mean, both sides look pretty bad, but I feel like the primer side just looks a little bit worse. It's just a little bit more broken up. I'm not into it. So tomorrow, no primer. As far as oiliness goes, I guess it just depends what area of my face you're looking at. If you look at just the forehead and my cheeks, I would say it looks pretty good. The center of my face right here is what brings down the average completely. So let's just come here. For some reason right here, the foundation is balling up and it's almost pilling underneath my skin. So it doesn't look very good here, and it's also settled quite a bit into the fine lines. And you can see it settled quite a bit on my forehead wrinkle as well. My nose, even from the beginning, I said that I was having issues, and it still looks, it has gotten a little bit worse 10 hours later. My upper lip area, it's very splotchy, just really broken up, lots of wear and tear, and same thing down here on my chin. So you can see that it is cracked quite a bit. I do want to experiment tomorrow. Maybe it is the concealer that I used. It's very possible that the concealer I used is just not playing very nicely with the foundation. It's not happening on my under eye, so I think I can add concealer underneath my eyes, but everywhere else, it will just be foundation tomorrow, and I will see if that makes a difference. That way I could just focus only on the foundation. Because right now it's foundation, but in the center of my face, there's also concealer. But just my final thoughts from today alone, I don't think the primer I used helped in this case to either help my oils from coming through or helped the foundation just stay or look better on me over time. And I also used way less product when I used a sponge, so I will be doing that tomorrow. But that is it for day one. All right, it is day two. It's actually not the very next day from the last time I filmed. It is 5 days later. Things got pretty hectic. I have a puppy in the house. It's not exactly a foster, although it feels like a foster. I'm just helping my friend train her dog because she hasn't had much success, and of course me and Steve are very seasoned dog owners, so we were happy to help. So I have an 8-week-old puppy in the house right now, and it is a handful. So I'm gonna try try and do this quickly so that I can alleviate Steve from puppy duty, and he can, I don't know if he wants to like take a shower and also nap. I think he might just nap in the shower. I don't know. So we're gonna skip primer today, but I am gonna powder underneath the foundation, which is a oily skin hack that I have learned that helps prolong oils from coming through, and also it can help the foundation stay together better. But I'm only gonna do it on half my face just to see if it actually helps in this case. So I'm gonna go in with my favorite. This is the Dermablend Loose Setting Powder, and I just go in with a puff, and I only apply this to the areas where I get oiliest first. So usually the center of my face is the most important. If you get oily all around, then you can go ahead and add powder to the entire face if you want to. And you really don't need a lot. You really want to press that in there so you can see it looks like there's a white cast, but it's not like just a glob of powder just sitting on my face that could easily be swished away. You know what I mean? Okay, so this area where my acne used to be is dry here. So the powder kind of clung onto it. I'm gonna actually wipe some of that off. I don't want the foundation to cling onto that super weird. Okay, that's looking better. Small mishap. And then today I'm gonna keep it really simple. I want today's focus to be just the foundation. Let's do 2 pumps. And I'm only gonna do 1 layer of foundation today. All right, so this is 1 layer of the foundation. Today I'm only gonna add concealer under my eyes. Under my eyes, I think it looked fine. Everywhere else where I usually add concealer on top of the foundation, it didn't look as nice. On day 1, you know, sometimes it's hard to tell if it's the foundation's fault or if it's the concealer not mixing well with the foundation. So just to eliminate that possibility, I'm not gonna add concealer on any other areas other than my under eyes. I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my makeup. It's gonna be very easy and minimal today. All the products that I use today are the same that I used on day 1. Okay, so it is the 5-hour mark. I think this is gonna be the last check-in that I do. I'm still gonna wear it for the whole 10 hours, but I have my opinions formed already, so unless my opinions change at the 10-hour mark, then I'll come back in and do another check-in, but if not, then this is gonna be the last one. I'm just not a huge fan of this foundation, unfortunately, and it's especially unfortunate for me because I bought it online, and the return policy is they don't really have one. If the product is damaged, that's one thing, but other than that, they don't offer returns, so I'm stuck with this foundation too. So that makes me feel really good. On my upper lip, it's separated quite a bit, and my nose, you can see I've lost some coverage here. I'm not gonna focus too much on the powder versus no powder side because I kind of don't like either sides, but I can see right here in the crevice of my nose, all the foundation kind of just collected there. So just in the crevice, there's a lot of foundation, and then everywhere else, I just noticed the coverage difference. On my chin, I can tell that it's cracking. I see those vertical lines, and it just also looks really textured here. It doesn't look as smooth as I would like it to. And I do have foundations within this price range that do look good, especially around the 5-hour mark. On the cheeks, I mean, it looks okay, but the outside of my face almost always looks decent no matter what foundation I use. So I just always try to focus mainly on the center of my face because a lot can go awry in those regions. And I just don't think this holds a candle to all the other foundations that I have. Hopefully you'll be able to see, but all the areas where I have old acne, do you see how it like clings onto it weird? I'm just really not a huge fan of the way this is looking, especially here in the mouth region. I had a lot of high expectations for this foundation just because I love their concealer, but you know, with every brand there are always hits and misses, and this one's a miss, unfortunately. So if you have skin very similar to mine, definitely pass on this one. This foundation, I believe it was medium buildable, and it definitely had a luminous feel to it. So if you were looking for something in that region, I would say either their Essence Pretty Natural Hydrating Foundation is a really good one, the Wet n Wild Tinted Hydrator. I have a lot more suggestions that are just not coming up right now. So if you are looking for a foundation with this type of finish that works well with oily skin, I do have a video. I will link it up in the cards as well as my description box. It is called the Best and Worst Hydrating Natural Dewy Luminous Foundations for Oily Skin, and it includes both high-end and drugstore, so I encourage you to watch that video if you are still on the hunt for a good foundation. But I hope that this video was helpful, insightful, or at least entertaining, and if it was, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and feel free to comment down below what other types of videos you'd like to see from me. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I would love to see you come back. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one.